Just before this episode, here's how you can get more from Never a Truer Word. If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, you can subscribe to this channel to get early access to the weekly analysis episodes, video episodes so you can see the statements as I analyze them, and exclusive content too. And if you're here on YouTube, then become a member of the channel to get early access to everything and exclusive content not available anywhere else. Hello and welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And we're back with Richard Allen and the Delphi murder case. In the week I recorded this, Richard Allen was found guilty of murdering the two girls. Hugely divisive case, and we're going to look at one of the most divisive aspects of the trial, which was the confessions that he made in phone calls from prison. Some people say these were the result of torture, psychosis. He wasn't in his right mind when he made these confessions. Others on the other side are saying that these are confessions by Richard Allen to murdering the two girls. So we're going to look at the words that he uses in these calls and see what we can see in these confessions, or so-called confessions. If you're a regular here, you're going to find this fascinating because the word use, the language use, is very, very interesting. This is all about seeing beyond the noise. This is all about just looking at the words, forgetting anything else that's there. What does he really, truly say inside these confessions? And if you're new here, this is a new way of looking at trial evidence, something that cuts beyond feelings and opinions and looks at the words of the person in question. It's the second time I've looked at Richard Allen. The first time that I looked at him, I looked at his wording in police interviews, and I found that there he was downplaying the crime, which is often what happens with guilty people. They turn the severity of the crime down. So he wasn't often saying, "I'm a murderer, I murdered these two girls." He was using softening language like, "I did it." Any denials he made that I looked at in this police interview, they weren't very regular, reliable denials. Certainly someone suffering from mental health issues. And he just gave no desire to clear his name. There didn't appear to be any need from him to clear his name or to even help the police and get justice. I did find more red flags in these police interviews than things that reassured me. But what I did see that interested me in the police interviews was a certainty from him that he was going to be found guilty. And I said at the time, that doesn't mean he's guilty. That means there's a certainty inside him for some reason that he's going to be found guilty. And also, he mentioned third parties a lot, which made me think, was there some third party involvement in what went on in Delphi? Now, a reminder, we're not going to look at evidence when I only look at words and statements from the person that we're looking at. So evidence, things that we know, rumors, gossip, all those sort of things don't come into this. I'm only going to focus on the words that were used. And these are the words from some of the calls played in the trial. Now, I didn't look at absolutely everything because right now I don't have absolutely everything. I'm only going to look at some of the reported conversations. Are you ready? Let's go. It's call number one. And Kathy says on the phone, this is Richard Allen's wife, "You need to just hang in there." And Richard Allen says, "I'm sorry, baby. It's just one more thing I effed up for you." Now, just is one of my trigger words. Just often indicates that deception could be happening. So I get interested in this there. It's just one more thing. Just is a minimizing word. Now, as he's gone through life, he has maybe effed up a lot of things, and he wants to put this in the comment of just one more thing. Now, what goes on in a relationship where we say we effed stuff up? It could be not taking the trash out regularly. It could be cheating. It could be all sorts of things. Now, this is a murder. Right, so it's not just one more thing. In fact, this would be the biggest thing that you have effed up in a relationship, but he wants to minimize it down. We see this downplaying again. Just one more thing. That phrase, one more thing, that he says as well, is instructive to us. It doesn't mean he's a murderer. It doesn't prove he's a murderer. What it does say is that he feels, in his words, he has gone through life effing things up for his wife. And this is just one more thing. So we can see in his words, he feels he has a track record of letting his wife down through the relationship. And he says it's one more thing I effed up. Now, not just I effed up, and we can all F up in our lives, but this is for you. So this is not just I made a mistake. This is, I made a mistake and I let you, my wife, down. And this is something that we saw in the police interviews as well, is that his wife is very important to him. What she thinks, what she feels is very important to Richard Allen. So what he is saying there is not just that it's one more thing that he's screwed up in his life, it's one more thing that he's screwed up for her. And that's very interesting because his focus really on these screw-ups is not the effect on himself, it's the effect on his wife. Call number 2. He says, I didn't accept God in my life until March 21st, 2023. I didn't accept God in my life until March 21st, 2023. Now, this is something that's called a statement in the negative. It's not said in a positive way. On March the 21st, 2023, I accepted God into my life. And that means that his focus then would be on God being in his life and the potentially the good things that have happened to him, or the reassurance or comfort he has felt since that date through having God in his life. But that's not where his focus is. His focus is on not having God in his life before that day, because it's a statement in the negative, that until that day, he didn't have God in his life. So if what I presented to you was the flip side, that since that day, God has been in my life and life has been wonderful, his focus there is on a godless life up until that date. So again, maybe this goes with the screw-ups that he's made, but also is he acknowledging there a lack of God in his life really led to some bad things before March the 21st, 2023. His focus is on his life before God, not how good his life is with God in it. And he gives the date of when that happened, March the 21st, 2023. Call 3. Richard Allen says, I killed Abby and Libby. His wife says, no, you didn't. He says, I think I did. His wife says, they are messing with your mind. Richard Allen says, I think I did. I don't know. I wish they would kill me and let me apologize to the families. So some really interesting words there. Now, this is a straightforward confession. I killed Abby and Libby. That's what he starts with. I killed Abby and Libby. Now, I've got to say, that's very straightforward. It's very unqualified, but it is interesting because there's no downplaying here. Downplaying is something we see all the time from guilty people, softening the severity of what happened, because he says killed. I killed Abby and Libby. And he names them Abby and Libby. So that is a bit of closeness there. We name people we feel close to. We name people we know well or are big parts in our lives. I killed Abby and Libby. I've got to say, it's a straightforward confession. However, it's a slightly strange one in that it has severity in there with killed, and it has the name of the victim as well. It's not I did it to those girls or anything like that. It's a very, very straightforward but very vivid confession. When Kathy says to him, no, you didn't, he then says, I think I did. I think I did. So there's no certainty there. I think I did. So what is going on here? Is this the psychosis? Is this, false memory syndrome or anything like that? But it's not said with certainty. So we've had that very brutal confession, and then he's pulled right back and said, I think I did. Kathy says to him, they are messing with your mind. And he doesn't take that on at all in this conversation. He gives no response to they are messing with your mind. So we don't know if he thinks his mind is being messed with. And we don't know if he's saying, no, they're not messing with my mind. I know exactly what happened and I killed those girls. He gives no response to that. They are messing with your mind. Interesting. He then says again, I think I did. So it's said with no certainty whatsoever. It's I think I did. And then it's said with even less certainty, I don't know. Very straightforward phrase, very often a very truthful phrase. I don't know. Truthful people don't have a problem saying, I don't know. You'll find with liars, they'll say something like, I don't have a clue, or no idea. But here it is just a very reliable, truthful phrase, I don't know. So for that section there that starts with I killed Abby and Libby, we then have three things that really soften and put some doubt into what it is that he's saying. I think I did, he says again, and then I don't know. So three softeners versus that one very direct, I killed Abby and Libby. What do you get from that? I'm getting confusion. I get real confusion there. That's straightforward, him saying, I killed Abby and Libby. And then when pushed, he says, I think I did. I think I did. I don't know. So while we have a confession, we also have non-confessions, and I think I did, and I don't know. He then says, I wish they would kill me. Now, in the police interviews, I said this guy's mental state is not good. And lo and behold, now he's in prison. It's even worse. I wish they would kill me is not said by someone who is of a sound mind. I wish they would kill me. But then we've got something really strange here. He says, I wish they would kill me and let me apologize to the families. I wish they would kill me and let me apologize to the families. Well, that can't happen because if you've been killed, you cannot apologize to the families. So that's really out of order. I would get it if he said, I want to apologize to the families and then I wish they would kill me. But that's not how he's ordered it. That's not how he said it. That's confused again. Maybe it's insincere. Maybe it's just words for the sake of saying words, or maybe it is a confused mind. But really, in that section there, what I get is complete confusion from Richard Allen calling his wife from prison. We'll look at more of the calls in a moment, including what happens when he talks to his mum rather than talks to his wife. If you like eavesdropping on calls, then why not check out a playlist I put together looking at 911 calls and some huge cases like the John Benet Ramsey case, the Robert Wong case, and the Ellen Greenberg case. 911 calls are very interesting to listen in on and see if we can find out what's happening, because people haven't had a chance to tell the story before. This is their first chance at telling a story. 911 calls, really interesting. You can check out that playlist on this channel on YouTube. I'll put a link in the show description too. If you're enjoying this, then why not share it with others? You can use the share function if you want. That would be great. I'm always interested in your comments. Remember though, I'm not looking at evidence. So anyone commenting and going, by the way, you haven't taken into the evidence that that's not what this is about. This is about looking at the words of someone only. And if that floats your boat, if you subscribe or follow to this channel, you'll get episodes like this as soon as they're released. If you want to be even earlier than that, then on YouTube, if you become a member of the channel or a subscriber on Spotify, you will get exclusive bonus content that delves deeper into the words that people say. And you'll also get episodes like this before anyone else as well. That's if you become a member on YouTube or a subscriber on Spotify. Let's go back to some more Richard Allen calls, and this is call number 4. Richard Allen says, I need to tell you something anyway. I need you to know that I did this. I need to tell you something anyway. I need you to know that I did this. We have controlling language here. I need to tell you something. I need you to know that I did this. Often found in controlling people, this language. They will use words like should, not rather than could or may, and need rather than like. So do we have the words here of a controlling person, or certainly someone expressing what it is they need and wanting to control what it is that they say, and wanting to control what it is that the reaction is? Interesting, he does downplay. I need to tell you something and I need you to know. Now, what we've got here is that what's really important to him is not a confession at this point. It's his need to say something. So what's important to him is not confessing to these murders. In fact, he really isn't confessing to the murders here. What is important to him is the fact he wants to tell his wife here, and he wants her to know about this. It's very subtly different from confessing. Confessing would be full, frank, unworried or unburdened by the reaction to it. What we're getting here is a need for him to do something. And he says, I need to tell you something anyway. How casual does that sound? That sounds like I'm going away this weekend, or I've changed the brand of deodorant that I use. I need to tell you something anyway. Again, we've got this softening and of the severity of what's going on. I think that's what's going on there. This very casual, I need to tell you something anyway. Not something that's going to change your life, not something that's mega important, not something horrible that I've done. It's just, I need to tell you something anyway. And he says, I need you to know that I did this. Again, this could be flagged up and is in articles that I've read as a confession. Him saying, I need to tell you something in any way. I need you to know that I did this. However, what's the priority for him is that He needs her to know. His priority is her knowing. His priority is not a full and frank confession. Call number 5, again, similar language. I need to know if you still love me, Alan said. Yes, dear, his wife answered. I may have to spend the rest of my life here. I just got to know that everybody is still going to love me. So we've got, again, this ordering language. I need to know if you still love me. Now, just look at that. What he wants to know is that he's still loved. He's really not interested in the truthful answer. He's interested in the answer that he wants. I need to know if you still love me. He needs to know that he is loved. He could have said this in a very open way. Do you still love me? Interested in the answer and letting his wife answer honestly, just not saying, here's the answer that I need to have, just saying, do you still love me? But no, he's trying to control the answer and by saying, I need to know if you still love me. Now, there is a little bit of doubt there because he does say if. It's not, I need to know that you still love me. But again, it's a very closed off question. There really is only one right answer or correct response when you phrase it like that. I need to know if you still love me. He goes on to say, I may have to spend the rest of my life here. I just got to know that everybody is still going to love me. So we have this again. I just got to know. Telling again the order that he wants the answer. It's not, will everyone still love me? It's, I got to know that everyone is still going to love me. It's a search for certainty here. We've seen a lot of confusion in what he said in these phone calls prior, but now he's searching for certainty and he's telling his wife the answers that he wants to hear. So maybe slightly controlling personality. Certainly in this situation, he is being very explicit about what it is that he wants to hear. Now, I said before when I looked at the police interviews, I felt he thought he was going to be found guilty, whether that is because he was guilty and he realizes the evidence was against him, whether he realizes it was a frame job and that, he's a patsy. He really thought he was going to be found guilty, was what came through in his words in the police interview. And here there's a bit of doubt. I may have to spend the rest of my life here. Interesting. That's maybe a bright point for him. I may have to spend the rest of my life here. I may not. If I can get away with this, if I can get out of here, I might not have to spend the rest of my life here. And then one last thing that I found was interesting. I got to know that everybody is still going to love me. And that followed him saying to his wife, I need to know if you still love me. I think he really has felt love in his life. He feels the love of his wife and everybody. What does that mean? Is that his immediate family? Does he really feel that he had love from them? And he's worried that that love is going to go. I've said before, I think his wife is very important to him. And he wants to know that he still has her love and that he still has the love of everyone else. I think he has felt that love very strongly and doesn't want that love to go away. That look, controlling there of the questions. I need to know if you still love me. I just got to know everyone is still going to love me. Later on in the call, he does ask a much more open question where he says, if I get the electric chair, will you be there for me? So we've got, if I get the electric chair, will you be there for me? Much more open, less direct. And that one, he's actually interested in the answer. If I get the electric chair, will you be there for me? It's not, if I get the electric chair, I need to know you're going to be there for me. He's really interested in the answer and not dictating what response he would like to hear. If I get the electric chair, will you be there for me? This is more from the same call. He says, I did it. I did it, dear. I've got somebody here listening to me, dear. I killed Abby and Libby. His wife responded, no, you didn't. Stop saying that. He starts that by repeating the confession. I did it. I did it, dear. I would not be fair to Richard Allen if I did not point out that when some people repeat things, it's a lie. And it's because we don't know how to lie, so we think we'll make the lie a lot more credible by repeating the lie more than once. We think that way people will definitely hear the lie that we're saying, and we think it makes it sound more credible if we repeat the lie a lot. We think it makes it sound more consistent and more congruent if we repeat the lie a lot. So is that what we've got here? I did it. I did it, dear. Once more, we've got this downplaying of severity. I did it. I did it. Again, this is a confession of sorts, but I'd be asking a question. What is it? What is it? He's not explicit about what it is. It's just, I did it. I did it, dear. But then, we have something much more direct. I killed Abby and Libby. So what we've got there, again, is, I'm not going to hide it there, that is a confession, but it's slightly an unusual one in that we do have what the it is. It's killed, but he's not turning the severity down. And we have that closeness again by mentioning the girls' names, Abby and Libby. I killed Abby and Libby. You might have noticed right in the middle of that, we do have the, I've got somebody here listening to me, dear. So is that why he's confessing? Because he wants to be heard confessing? It's a very unusual thing to say in the middle of all that. If he was confessing to his wife, I did it, dear, I killed Abby and Libby, would be a straightforward way of telling it. But he takes this diversion in the middle and says, I've got somebody listening to me, dear. Is he actually talking to the person that's listening to him rather than his wife? What I did notice is in this call, there is a real theme of saying what others want us to say. Richard Allen dictating what he wants his wife to say. What would be the perfect answer to the questions and the statements that he's making? I need to know you still love me. And here, I've got someone listening to me, dear. Is that, again, him saying what others want us to say? That person listening wants to hear a confession, and I'm going to give that confession. Call number 6. You know that I done it, right? He asked his wife. You know that I done it, right? He asked his wife. That's classified as a confession, but it's not a confession. Look at the distance there. It's not, I did it, I killed those girls like we have seen before. It's all about what his wife knows. You know that I done it, right? It's not a confession. It's not him saying, I done it. It's him saying, you know that I done it. It's not a confession. It could be what we call an embedded confession, because right in the middle of there are the words, I done it. And there are a lot of embedded confessions through these calls. And we could look at those and go, he's way too easy to saying, I done it. He's not very qualified around I done it. But this cannot be categorized as a confession. This is a question, and this is a question about what his wife knows, not a confession about what Richard Allen did. Call number 7. I did it, Kathy. I did it. We've got that repetition again of I did it, Kathy. I did it. Do you still love me? Kathy says, yes, dear, but you didn't do it. You can't call me and talk like this. Richard Allen says, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I lost my mind. I feel like I'm already in hell. So we have that confession again and that repetition of I did it. I did it. What I will say is that every time he makes one of these confessions or his embedded confessions, he does have the pronoun I there. And that is showing ownership of it. It's not distant. It's not trying to create some softening around who did it. He owns every single confession or embedded confession or even so-called confession that we may see in these calls. He owns that with the pronoun I every single time. But once more, what's important to him? Do you still love me? So these calls from Richard Allen are classed as confessions. People have said there's lots of confessions, and I get there are confessing words in there, but really these calls are about him seeking reassurance from his wife that he is still loved. Look, we got more confusion in here, or is it confusion? He says, I don't know what I'm doing, like I lost my mind. I feel like I'm already in hell. Okay, so we've got, I don't know what I'm doing. Now, I don't know what I'm doing. Very straightforward. I don't know what I'm doing. What I'm interested in there is that it's in the present tense. It's not, I don't know what I've done. It's I don't know what I'm doing. Present tense, which is making a call and making these so-called confessions. So the confusion is not around what he did. No, not around the murder or the time of the murder or anything like that. The confusion is around what he is doing, present tense, in these calls. I don't know what I'm doing. But has he really lost his mind? Well, he says it's like I lost my mind. So that suggests he has some present perspective to see that it's not he has lost his mind. It's like I lost my mind. Then he says, I feel like I'm already in hell. Now, this is qualified. He only feels like he's already in hell. So it's not, I'm in hell right now. I'm going through hell. It's, I feel like I'm already in hell. So he is saying it's like he's lost his mind and he feels like I'm in hell. So is he really overdoing how much confusion he feels here or how bad he feels the situation is in? But I'm already in hell. That suggests that he feels his destination is hell. It feels like, and maybe with God in his life, he knows that he is destined for hell through his actions and the words that he believes in, or the teachings that he believes in. He believes that he is going to hell, and he says, I'm already in hell, which just suggests he thinks he's going to hell, and right now he feels like he's already in hell. And then the final call we're going to look at is between Richard Allen and his mother. So he starts by saying, did Kathy tell you I did it? And that's what he's saying to his mum. His mum says, we are not going to discuss this, okay? We love you. You know that, don't you? And Richard Allen says, regardless, I'm just worried you guys aren't going to love me because I said I did it. Once more, did Kathy tell you I did it? Not a confession. It's not a full and frank confession. Yeah, it's not, Mom, I did it. I killed those girls. It's a question asking, did Kathy tell you that I killed those girls? That is not a confession. Yeah, it just isn't. It might have that embedded action in it of I did it, but that's not a confession. When his mom says, we love you, and you know that, he says, regardless, I'm just worried you guys aren't going to love me because I said I did it. I have that word just in there, which is like minimizing what's going on. Now, I'm just worried you guys aren't going to love me because I said I did it. What is being minimized there? Potentially, it's the I said I did it. What about I'm just worried you guys, or I'm worried you guys aren't going to love me because I did it? That would take the minimizing out here. That would take the distancing out. I'm worried you guys aren't going to love me because I did it. However, we have this slight qualification and distance there. You guys aren't going to love me because I said I did it. So again, this is not about him doing it and the reactions that people will have because he did it. It's all about the reactions people will have to if he said he did it. Again, though, we do have that embedded I did it in there. He has no problem saying that word. His mom says to him, just saying you did it doesn't mean you did. He says, it does when I did. His mom says, Ricky, they are messing with you. No, Mom, they're not. So he actually deals with that point this time and says, these guys are not messing with me. It's put to him, they're messing with you. And he says, no, Mom, they're not. Very direct, very straightforward. So if I said I did it, you wouldn't love me anymore. I will always love you no matter what. You can count on that, his mother says. So what have we got here? It doesn't matter. Just saying it doesn't mean you did it, his mother said. And his response is, it does when I did. It's not an if. It's not a I said I did. It's a when I did. That's quite direct. So from all the softening that we've seen, when I did is quite direct. It's past tense, referring to something in the past. It does when I did. And then he comes right back again to this concept of not confessing, but what would happen if I did confess? What would happen if I said I did it? And it's if I said I did it, you wouldn't love me anymore. So if I said I did it, you wouldn't love me anymore. And it's qualified. It's got an if there. So really, he hasn't said he's done it. He's saying, if I say I do it. So again, we've got this distance there. And really, what he's worried about is the impact on his loved ones, not on the confession, but the fact that he would make this confession. Very, very interesting set of words in the calls from prison of Richard Allen. Did you notice what was missing in those calls? Because for me, there was something very big that was missing. And that's anything beyond, I did it. No logic behind why I did it, how I did it. Just the phrase, I did it. He does say, I killed Abby and Libby, but he never ever goes beyond that. You know, if you're going to classify these as confessions, these are not full and frank confessions that he made to his family when he was on the phone from prison. They are very, very narrow. I did it. I killed Abby and Libby. Nothing more, nothing about his reasoning, nothing about what he regrets doing, not even trying to excuse his behaviour at all in any way. There's just nothing beyond that very bold, bald phrase, I did it. So having looked at all of that, what are my conclusions? There's a mental struggle going on for sure. I don't think it's as severe as some people would like to think. He does say, I feel like I've lost my mind there. He does say very coherently to his mum, no, they're not messing with me. But he definitely has a mental struggle going on there. He has a real need for certainty. He wants to dictate the answers that he feels he should be hearing, especially from his wife, but also from his mother. So again, that suggests some mental struggle, and that suggests, some real flux going on in his life there. And these calls are a need, or he expresses a need for certainty in them. But his real focus is not on, I did it, and we saw all the missing things and full and frank confessions. His focus is on, should I say I did it? I do think there are embedded confessions in there as well, because it is not right to classify these for me as confessions. I don't think these are full and frank confessions. There are embedded confessions in there, like I say, but when you break them down, these are not what I would call reliable confessions. They're just a few words. There's nothing greater in there to make me think he really is phoning his loved ones and explaining to them what happened, what went on, why he did it, how he did it, and the reasons or the excuses or the other people that he's going to blame for doing it at all. There's none of that there. So a really curious set of words there from Richard Allen on the phone. On balance, I have to say, there are confessions there. Why did he make those confessions? I think that's the question that I would have to ask. I'm not entirely sure there that those confessions were not made freely, but they were made for a reason. What do you think? Do let me know in the comments. Are these confessions reliable confessions to you? Do you think they are full and frank confessions, or do you think there's a little bit more going on behind them? Do let me know in the comments, or get in touch on social media. All the links are in the show notes. If you want to get more episodes like this, then do subscribe to the channel or follow the channel. You will get them as soon as they drop. And don't forget, if you become a member on the YouTube channel or a subscriber on Spotify, you will get episodes like this before anyone else, and also exclusive bonus episodes too. Hey, neveratruerword.com is the website. There you will find a whole load more video analysis of statements and the words that people in the news choose to use. You'll also be able to sign up for the newsletter, find yourself some more podcasts, and also there's a Facebook group. If you're interested in analysing people's words, come in, join the Facebook group, and get yourself involved in some fascinating discussions. Let me know what you think of this episode, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.